3. So question 3 tells me here, the information relates to Winston Limited. Can you see it's one company? One company. Now, they are very nice. You'll see the older the papers are that you're working out, they don't necessarily have this there for you. So here they say, note, where comments or explanations are required, you should quote financial indicators and trends with figures. There's your 2 ticks. You see? Give a reason or explanation. So they already broke it up for you. Name, increase, decrease amount, explain. Here we go. So now I see the word profitability. Now before I even read the question, I go to my ratios and I go look, which of these ratios is profitability ratios? And you will see markup, operating expense, operating profit, net profit before tax. There we go. So they give me 4. They gave me 4. So now, quote 2 indicators with figures. Now if I look at the mark allocation, it's going to be, I'm calling it naming and shaming. So in other words, the increase, decrease, quote, I call that shamed because it's a nice ring to it. So this is literally, I'm going to name and shame twice. Name and shame twice. The name, so they can mark it in different ways. They can either give 1 tick, 1 tick, 1 tick, 1 tick, or they can say the name with the increase, decrease, and the amount. But the fact is you need to name, increase, decrease, amount. So, quote 2. Can you see 2 ticks? 2 ticks. With figures and trends to indicate that the company is managing its expenses well. Now, these ratios are all in the income statement. Am I right? So if I do the income statement, quick, it's sales, cost of sales, gross profit, operating income, operating expense, operating profit, interest, net profit before tax, net profit after tax. Do you agree with me that expenses only starts here? So the ratios that they give me, that's from the start till operating expenses, has got no bearing on the operating expenses. I will not see the influence on operating expenses if I go to ratio markup percentage, because what's the markup percentage? Cost of gross profit over cost of sales. It's right there at the top. Yes, operating expenses on sale. This one is more now straightforward. So I'm going to quote that one. Operating profit on sales. Yes. Net profit before tax on sales. Yes. So let's go look how they quoted it. So if I look here, you will see, can you see there they tell you? Indicators, there must be 2, so there's 2 ticks. So if you wrote percentage operating expense, percentage operating profit on sales, percentage net profit on tax, before tax, any one of those 3 would have earned you 2 marks, 2 out of that 3. There. Now I need to give the trend and the figure. So you literally say, has decreased. That's my trend. And you don't, can you see from is in brackets? So it doesn't have to be from. They only want to say to 14%. And if you love me, you will never use that. Why am I saying that? So If I say something goes from, why doesn't it want to go? There we go. If I say something goes from 19 to 14, so it decreases with 5. I can't say it decreases with 5%. It's wrong. Why is it wrong? It is most, the difference there is most 5. Why is it wrong if you say with 5%? Because it's not 5% of the 19. If you want to see what the change was, you have to say the difference is 5, the original is 19. And that gives me the percentage. Oh, sorry, you can't even see. Can you see the man in the hat? Change over original. Looks like a man with a hat. So 5 over 19 times 100 is not going to give you 5%. It's going to give you way more. So that is why you can't say 5%. Right? Now, can you see they say 5% points? Okay. Or 26%. Can you see that 26% is that man in the hat? Why on earth would you want to go and do calculations if you get exactly the same mark if you say 214, which you just take from the paper and write it down? Why would you want to go say by 5% points? Why? Because that 5% you have to go calculate. Yes, it's an easy calculation, 19 minus 14. But why? It takes time. Please don't do that. So, same here. It has increased to 18%. There's your answer. Increased to 18. One tick. If you say by 6 percentage points, which more than half of you are going to forget, and you're just going to say by 6%, you're going to forget the word points. And why would you do a calculation to get the 50%? You get what I'm saying here? Please. I'm somewhere going to say that in a June exam, if you write those two, I will mark it wrong. Just to get it, but I won't. But please, can you guys see that? Okay, let's go to the next question. So the next, I forgot that the next question is here. Okay, so I already got 4 out of 4. Okay, because you're not going to have that wrong. Next one, dividend payout policy. Immediately, you're going to know what's the other word for payout policy. Payout rate. Because look here, they didn't give payout policy. What did they give? You see, they gave dividend payout rate. You see? So they are testing that you know both words. Now, what do I know? My answer is going to be that percentage is the dividends. The difference is the retained. Okay? So let's go look. They asked me, comment on the dividend payout policy of the company. Explain why this is a responsible change in policy. Provide 1 point. Okay? So, in my head, I'm thinking they just want to know about the policy. So I am only going to quote the 60%. So I'm going to say the dividend payout rate is 60%, meaning the company retained 40%. Can you see, how did I get that? I said 100 less 60 gives me 40. So 60% is dividends, 40% is retained. What was it last year? Last year, 86% was dividends, meaning only 14% was retained. So why is this more responsible? So let's quickly go back. If I say to you, What is the most important thing in your business to keep on running? Cash flow. So if you go look at the company law, they're going to say to you, it's very important, you cannot pay out dividends if you do not have the cash. You cannot buy back shares if you do not have the cash. If you are not liquid. Right. So, can you see they are paying out? They are saving. You can do it either they pay out less dividends, or you can take it they are saving more. And why is that? Why is that responsible? Why is it responsible for them to save more? Because it's good. Yeah, it's so they don't need to spend so much cash. Maybe their cash flow weren't good. How will I see, by the way, if they have good cash flow from these things here? How will I see if their cash flow is good? I can go look at the liquidity ratios. No, you can go look there at the current and the asset test, by the way. No? Can you see that? But that's not what they're asking. So you're going to keep it simple. This is what I will answer. I will say, in 2024, paid out 60% of dividends, of earnings as dividends, retained 40%. Right, that's what I would. Then I would say, okay, it's good. I'm not going to say it's responsible because that's too long a word. And I want to save time. So I'm going to say it's good because why? What's happening? They save more. Is it a V or a F? No? Or they keep more savings. That sounds like a 3-year-old's answer. But let's go look what the memo says. Let's go look at the memo. So the memo says, figures and trend, 1 point. So if I said, so I missed it then, because now they say it decreased from 86 to 60. That's 1 point. I just mentioned the 86. Now let's look at the explanation. Funds have been retained for future expansion. 2 points. Can you see where did I go wrong? Where did I go wrong? Remember what I said to you? How should you always answer? How should you always answer? You name the ratio and you shame the ratio. Increase, decrease. I want to exclamation mode immediately. Can you see that? I'm so sorry for interrupting you.